The sound starts small, mortar against wood, a steady tapping like a heartbeat, then the whisper of leaves being torn. We learn the names with our hands, my friend says, names that have folded into the palms of families for generations. Today, I follow that scent from market aisles to temple gardens to meet the people who keep Khmer plant knowledge alive.
Welcome to Ancient Echoes KH. I'm Sam Nong Bradley, stories carved in stone, and today, stories pressed between leaves. In this episode, I promise a journey through dawn markets, a midwife's yard, and a temple monk's remedial garden, an exploration of relationship, not prescriptions. Quick context before we walk. In Khmer life, plant knowledge moves through families, through apprenticeships, through seasons. Names matter, Bantai, Chnong, Krong herbs, and they connect to ritual, food, and daily care. Important note up front, we will not give medical advice. Nothing here is a substitute for a licensed health professional. Show notes list reliable sources and local contacts vetted by our team. Dawn in the market. The light sits soft on tarps. A woman I call Dara, she allows me to use her name, arranges bundles of leaves. She weighs them on an old scale that sings with its creak. Her hands move without looking, sorting fragrant stems by scent. Lemongrass that smells like sunrise, a pale leaf that smells of river mud and memory.
Dada tells me in Khmer, and I translate. When the rice is young, this tree flowers. We call it sepek. Its smell tells me it is time. She laughs quietly, the kind of laugh that says, I have been right about seasons for a long time. She refuses to call herself a doctor. She prefers the word caretaker. That small choice matters.
At another stall, a mortar and pestle moves rhythmically. Beat, press, roll. The sound itself feels medicinal. Vendors call prices and soft bargaining songs, but the real exchange is knowledge. Which root is collected after the rains? Which leaf should never be picked when menstruating? Which stems go into postpartum baths? I listen more than I ask. That's how trust starts.
Later that day, I visit an elder midwife who keeps plants in woven baskets under the house. She speaks slowly, naming plants not just by use, but by the stories they carry. She points and says, "This one, when my mother was alive, she would say it teaches patience. When the baby will be stubborn, give the mother a broth with a sliver of this stem." I ask her how she knows. She smiles and says, "We learn with our hands and our ears."
There is a tenderness to the midwife's kitchen, a leaf torn, the steam that rises, a bowl passed between neighbors. I describe this because healing here is relational. It is recipes of care, yes, but also kin, shared labor, and obligations. By afternoon, near a small pagoda, a young monk tends a remedial garden. He moves with focused quiet, fingers trimming a plant that has been planted in a semicircle like a little sanctuary. Monks in some temples steward gardens used for ritual cleansing and for tending common ailments. Again, community care rather than clinical cure. He tells me monks learn certain plant names as part of temple practice, words that live in liturgy, in medicine, and in hospitality. When a visitor arrives with a fever, the monks offer shade, tea, and attention. The remedy, when it comes, is wrapped in ritual. It is as much about presence as it is about the leaf. I want to be careful here. I never ask for step-by-step instructions, dosages, or exact harvesting techniques. That's on purpose. Some knowledge is fragile. Publicizing it can encourage over-harvesting or unsafe experimentation. Instead, I listen to how people talk about seasons, ethics, and reciprocity, the social rules that protect plants and people. Pause with me and imagine a soundscape. The mortar's rhythm, a vendor calling for a lime, a child's voice in the distance, temple water trickling. Those layers tell you where a practice lives, between market, kitchen, and shrine.
I'll leave a longer, actual field mix in the show notes for you to listen to full volume. Here, I'll carry us through a condensed weave of those sounds to hold the place in your ears.
Now, to bring in a bit more perspective, I asked my friend and colleague Sylvan to join me for a short reflection. Sylvan, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Samnong. Listening to you, I'm struck by how plant knowledge threads ceremonial life, everyday care, and environmental stewardship. From an ethnobotanical point of view, these practices encode ecological cues, seasonal markers, microclimate signs that are invaluable. But we must also think about rights. Who owns this knowledge, and how communities are supported if their practices are shared more widely? Also, a practical note. When listeners are curious, ask permission. Offer compensation for time and expertise. Work with local liaisons or NGOs who respect community consent. And if something sounds medically serious, seek licensed healthcare, not a market remedy.
Exactly. The work of stewarding plant knowledge is often underpaid and deeply interwoven with gender, age, and ritual rules. In the show notes, we name community projects and conservation groups doing collaborative stewardship. Support them rather than turning a practice into a souvenir.
Before we close, a short practical takeaway for visitors and listeners. 1. Ask, don't assume. Use respectful questions and learn the story behind a plant. 2. Always consult licensed medical professionals for diagnosis and treatment. 3. Compensate knowledge holders fairly and accept anonymization if requested. 4. Support conservation-minded organizations that protect habitats and practices.
A travel tip. If you visit a market, go with a local guide who has community relationships. Buy from stalls that openly share their stories. Pay a fair price for herbs and ask if you can record or photograph. If someone says no, say thank you and walk away with the memory of their voice. Sometimes that's the gift.
And if you're documenting or researching, follow trauma-informed and ethics-first interviewing practices. Share pre-interview briefs, record verbal consent, and offer participants the chance to review how their words will be used.
Back at the market one evening, Dara wraps a small bundle of leaves and ties it with a piece of string the color of river clay. She presses it into my hand and says in Khmer, "Take care of it like a promise." That line stayed with me, healing as relationship, not transaction.
Thank you for walking these aisles with me, for listening to Leaves and learning how communities care. If you want more, full transcripts, sources, vetted contacts, and the longer field mix, check the show notes. We've included citations in links to conservation projects and community stewards who asked to be listed. This episode was recorded with permission, with payments and releases where requested, and with community review for sensitive material. Quiet Stones, Loud Stories. Thank you for listening.
Subscribe to Ancient Echoes KH to keep walking with me. More temple gardens, market voices, and the hands that heal. Until next time, walk the temples with me and hear Cambodia's heartbeat.